Uh, whoa. Now Ravi is coming back. I know what.
Okay. Another screen la varala.
Yeah, I just admitted.
Just now is come. Okay.
I, I thought I admitted him, and he's.
Uncle, now I'm in.
Okay. Then you take over. Then, and I'm going to be off.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Namaskaram. Welcome to session 2 of the Glory of Goddess Devi. I welcome again Sri Sundaresan Subramaniam Uncle and Srimati Vidya Subramanian Auntie. All the way from California, they are performing this for us, and session 2 is going to be very interesting as well. So I hand it over to Subramaniam Uncle to take over. Please, Uncle, do the honors.
Namaste. The recording is on now?
Yes, the recording is on, Uncle. Yes, recording
Very
is on.
nice. Namaste to everybody. We'll start as usual with our Dhyana Slokam. Om Gajananam Bhota Ganati Sevitam Kavita Jambu Balasara Bhakshitam Umasutam Shoka Vinasa Karanam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sri 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 Shantananda Vaduta Sadgurave Namaha Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Parashakti Om Shakti Om Shakti Om
Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Parashakti Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Parashakti Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Parashakti Om Shakti Om Shakti Om.
Namaste to everybody. Welcome to session 2 of this series on the glory of the great goddess Devi. We started this session 1 last week, in which I had spoken about the approach for this program and also presented a few things. So I'd like to quickly review this as to what we did last Saturday. I mentioned that in this program series, which will be every Saturday, 5 p.m. Central Time, we propose to cover excerpts from different ancient scriptures on the glory of Devi. So in the last session, we presented an overview of Devi Mahatmyam, which is one of the greatest scriptures on the glory of Devi, in which I had given a summary of Devi's glory, and also the Sapta Sloki, which is the essence of Devi Mahatmyam, the 7 slokams, with also some music. In this session, I propose to cover Lalita Sahasranamam, which is one of the greatest epics, the stotrams on Devi. So we would like to introduce this with a few words. As you all know, India is a spiritual land of many cults, and the worship of Shakti as mother, it figures very prominently for thousands of years. The worship of primordial power as mother is an ancient Indian tradition which we are continuing till now. So we have a great range of literature dealing with the worship of Shakti. You have the Devi Mahatmyam, which we mentioned last week, and Devi Bhagavatam, Dalita Sahasranamam, Skandamata Purana are some of the important Devi literatures you have. And out of the multifarious forms of Devi worship, 2 major forms are very popular still in modern India. Devi as Kali in the eastern part particularly of India, and Devi as Lalita. These are the 2 forms which are very, very popular. And today we will talk about Devi as seen in Lalita Sahasranamam. Many of you are familiar with it. You all chant it at home and also in public forums. So what I am going to do is I propose to give an overview of Lalita Sahasranamam and introduce you to what is Lalita Sahasranamam, what are the highlights of it, how is the Devi worshipped in that, what is the origin of all this, and what is the significance of the various names, a kind of an understanding where people do not know the meanings and the basic concepts involved in Lalita Sahasranamam, but they know how to chant it. But it is so intricate that they may not go and explore to the meanings, and especially how Lalita originated. What does it mean? Many may not know the meanings. Once they know this, they will be able to enjoy the chanting of Lalita Sahasranamam in a much better way. So at this point, I'd like to ask Ravi whether you would like to sing the bhajan song now, or you will do it at the end.
Yes, uncle. Yes, I will do the bhajan song now. Yes.
So you'll do it then? Okay.
Yes, I'll do the bhajan song. I'll just do like a short bhajan, and then
Yeah.
uncle, you can proceed after that.
Okay.
I'll sing a bhajan on Goddess Parvati. Bhavani Shankari Parvati, Paramadaya Kari Parvati, Shiva Shivankari Parvati, Sri Puravasini Parvati. Bhavani Shankari Parvati, Paramadaya Kari Parvati, Shiva Shivankari Parvati, Sri Puravasini Parvati, Himachala Kumari Parvati, Ishwari Shankari Parvati, Himachala Kumari Parvati, Ishwari Shankari Parvati, Kumara Janani Parvati, Kumkumarajite Parvati, Kumara Janani Parvati, Kumkumarajite Parvati, Akhilandeshwari Parvati, Adi Parashakti Parvati, Akhilandeshwari Parvati, Parvati, Khandapurani Parvati, Anandarupini Parvati, Akhandapurani Parvati, Anandarupini Parvati, Bhavani Shankari Parvati, Paramadaya Kari Parvati, Shiva Shivankari Parvati, Sri Puravasini Parvati, Himachala Kumari Parvati, Ishwari Shankari Parvati, Kumara Janani Parvati, Kumkumarajite Parvati, Akhilandeshwari Parvati, Adi Parashakti Parvati, Akhandapurani Parvati, Anandarupini Parvati, Bhavani Shankari Parvati, Paramadaya Kari Parvati. Om Shakti.
Thank you. Mataji. It's a beautiful bhajan song to begin with our session number 2 on introducing Lalita Sahasranamam. Lalita, the meaning itself, is one who plays. Plays with what? What is her play? Her play consists of 5 different activities. It is mentioned in Lalita Sahasranamam itself. Srishtikartri Brahma Rupa, Goktri Govinda Rupini, Samharni Rudra Rupa, Tirodana Karishwari, Sadashiva Anugrahata, Panchakritya Parayana. There are basically 5 works Panchakrityam, which are her play, and these are part of her play. They are creation, Srishti, protection, Sthiti. Samharam means destruction, as you know. Tirodhanam is referring to Maya or hiding, delusion. And lastly, Anugraham, which is the blessing. So Devi herself is described as Panchakritya Parayana in this slokam, and that is her main play, which covers the entire universe. So where does it come? This Lalita Sahasranamam. You know, there are two Sahasranamam which are very famous, Vishnu Sahasranamam and Lalita Sahasranamam. Both mean 1,000 names. But Lalita Sahasranamam is coming in Brahmanda Purana, which is the second part of Brahmanda Purana, which was the last of the 18 Puranas composed by Vyasa Maharshi. Just as Bhagavad Gita is in center stage of Mahabharata, Lalita Sahasranamam is an important part of Brahmanda Purana. It's a very sacred text to worshippers. And how did it come about? It was composed by 8 Vagdevatas. I will tell you the stories how it was composed under what circumstances. And it is presented in the Brahmanda Purana as a dialogue between Hayagriva, who was an avataram of Vishnu himself, and the great Agastya Maharishi, said to have been born. The Lalita Sahasranam, there is a place called Tirumiyachur near Kumbakonam in South India, which is the Lalita Devi temple, and it is said that Lalita Sahasranam was born at this particular holy place. So 1,000 names. Oh, there are so many names. Why do you need so many names? What is in a name? You know, in our tradition, the names all relate to qualities, gunam. Even Vishnu Sahasranamam, the names signify the qualities. For example, Durga. What does it mean? Durg means a fort. In fact, you have a city called Durg in Madhya Pradesh. Durg refers to a fort. Why do people build fort? To make it hard for the enemies to defeat them. So they will be very safe. If the enemy has to come in, the fort will defend them. So Durga is one who is undefeatable. That's what it means. So you have a quality which means undefeatable and related to your name. So you have Lalita Sahasranamam, which has 1,000 names. In every traditional name, we have a quality. If you think of, let us say, a name called Kamala, we carry the memory of lotus, which is the meaning. If you call someone Mallika, we remember the jasmine flower and perhaps even the fragrance associated with the flower. You have names like Mahavir, Mahavir Singh. Mahavir Singh in Sikhs, it signifies bravery. Hanuman is called Mahavir. So each name, likewise in the Sahasranama, relates to a different quality or attribute of the divine. So when we chant each name, it brings those qualities in our consciousness. They also manifest in us. If you say Kamala Lochana, it says lotus-eyed. A lotus grows in the mud, but it is beautiful and pure. So the lotus-eyed one can live in this world and see the beauty and purity in spite of all the challenges. If you say Om or Om Shanti or Jai Sri Ram repeatedly, you will automatically experience peace within yourself. You can try this experiment. And when these qualities, what you talk about, enter into consciousness, we sort of identify ourselves. And as the old saying goes, you are what you think. When you repeat it, you become what you are. So the names are all organized in various hymns or stotras. And unlike Vishnu Sahasranama, there is no repetition of the names here. In Lalita Sahasranamam really purifies the mind, uplifts the consciousness, and you get a refinement in your consciousness. It makes us a storehouse of positivity, dynamism, and joy. And above all, the Devi herself is very fond of hearing her names. As it say, Nama Parayana Prita. See, this is also coming in the Sahasranama itself. Nama Parayana Prita. So this is being said in the stotram itself. It says, Chitkalananda Kalika Prema Rupa Priyankari Nama Parayana Prita Nandi Vidyanateshwari. So Nama Parayana Prita means the first word really, Parayana means repeating. You keep on saying that again, you have Parayanams everywhere, right? So when you repeat those names, Abba, she likes it. It's Prita. So fondness for chanting names. Why she's fondness? There is a history behind it. I will tell you later. But the point here is this chanting names is not only for our benefit, even the Devi likes to hear our names. So let us go a little further to find out what are the contents of this Lalita Sahasranamam. Who composed it? The Lalita Sahasranamam is said to have been composed at the command of Lalita Devi herself. She ordered all the 8 Vagdevis, Devatas of speech, to compose it. So as I said, it appears as the dialogue between Hayagriva and Agastya Maharishi. And it's starting with a very beautiful Jnana slogam. I like my Dharma Patni to sing that a little bit so I understand how beautiful it is.
Sinduraruna Vigraha Trinayana Manikya Maulispura Taranayaka Shekhara Smitamuki Apina Vakshoruha Panibhyam Alipurna Ratna Shashakam Raktotpalam Pibradi Soumya Rattagatascha Rakta-charana Dhyayet para Ambika.
So nice, such a beautiful Jnana slokam. If you know the meaning of it, you'll enjoy it even more. Sindur Aruna Vigraham. You know, Aruna, it is a rising sun. See the color of the sky when it rises, it is called Sindur. It is a kind of vermilion color, like an orange. That is the rise, that is the color of Ambal. And Trinayana means one who has 3 eyes. And Manika Maulis Purate, Tara Nayaka Sekaram. She wears a crown studded with rubies. And Sekaram, Nayaka Sekaram, Tara Nayaka. It is the hero of all the stars is the moon. She has a crescent moon on the crown. Smita Mukhim, very smiling face, as you see in this picture of Devi. She has a very smiling face. Panibhyam Alipurna Ratna Sashakam. she's holding a golden vessel in her hand. Pani means hand. She's holding a golden vessel filled with nectar. And she's got the Rakta Phalam Vibratim. Rakta means, blood, isn't it? It's red color. Red color. Utpalam means lotus, red colored lotus. And she's forever. Saumya means the ocean of peace, you can say. And keeping her holy red feet, Rakta Charanam, Ratna Gatastha Rakta Charanam. She's keeping as a footrest on her holy feet on a jewel pot. And such Devi, Dayet Param Ambikam. We are worshipping that divine Lalita. So that is the glory of this beautiful Jnana Slokam. It begins with this, and then it goes on to 182 two-liner verses. They are so exquisitely constructed. It's got alankaram. Unlike Vishnu Sahasranama, in this you have very exquisite, what you call alliterations in Sanskrit. I will just give you one example. Bhavani Bhavana Gamya Bhavaranya Kutarika Bhadra Priya Bhadra Murte Bhakta Saubhagya Dajini Bhakti Priya Bhakti Gamya Bhakti Vasya Bhayavaha Shambhavi Sharada Radhya Sarvani Sharmadayini. You see how it comes. Bhavani, Bhavana, all coming in B. Bhavani, Bhavana, Gamya, Bhavaranya Kutarika. Bhadra Priya, Bhadra Murti, Bhakta Saubhagyadayini, Bhakti Priya, Bhakti Gamya, Bhakti Vasya, Bhayavaha. All coming in B. Such a beautiful alliteration. I'm just giving you two samples. But there are so many of them, thousands of these in this 182 two-line verses. They are so beautifully constructed. They are poetical. There is no conjunction like cha or tu, or there are joints in Vishnu Sahasranam. You have joints, in many of this you got the joints, conjunctions. There is no conjunction here. They are all independent and no repeats. Such is the beauty of this Lalita Sahasranamam. Though it's got 16 different parts, they are all arranged in a sequence, starting with the Devi's avataram itself comes in that one. Then it goes on to the Varnani, Kesadi Padas Varnani, the description of Devi in her physical attributes. Then the description of her abode, which is Srinagaram, and Bandasura Vadan. It goes on like that till it reaches the 16th part, the ending with Shiva Shakti Aikyam. The Shiva and Shakti are one and the same. Is also repeated in Saundarya Lahari. So it is just one Shiva Shakti, which is really the universal Almighty. So this gives you an overview of what it comprises of. It's got beautiful syllables. It's got 72 16-syllable words all together, which is a very long conjunction. It's one single word. And it's got 248 syllables and 278 4-syllable words. These are all combinations with extensive alliteration, just as I mentioned in the beginning of the word. So it's very beautiful to look at it, and it is not comprehensible very easily to men or human beings. It doesn't kind of move his mind when you read it. But if you start understanding the meaning, then you understand the entire Lalita Sahasranamam. So it has to be presented in such terms, human terms, that it stimulates a sense of the divine nature, its omnipresence, its omnipotence, its benevolence, adorable nature, the qualities. This is what the Puranas and our Tantras and Shastras have done through their wonderful narratives. Many commentaries have been written. The first and most beautiful commentary has been written by a great Sanskrit scholar, a Devi Upasaka by name Bhaskar Raya. Now, I come from a village called Maharajapuram, and the neighboring village is Bhaskar Rajapuram. It was a village which was donated as a gift by the Maharaja to Bhaskar Raya. And he has written a beautiful bhashyam or commentary on that. Of course, several people have written afterwards, but this is a commentary which is speaking about Lalita Sahasranamam and its beauty. Once you come to know these, then you understand how lovely the Sahasranamam is and what kind of effect it creates on you. So some intellectuals cannot understand the psychological effect and may call this as kind of a cock and bull stories. But from a purely historical point of view, it may be so, but it should not be forgotten that these are not meant to be history. They are interested in being an adorable being, a human being, and what is the relationship of that human being with that Almighty or being. So in this, to understand this, it is very important to pronounce the Sanskrit words correctly to get the desired effects. See, errors sometimes happen, but we have to be careful, so it has to be learned in the proper way. And the proper way is the right way to learn from somebody, get those errors corrected and pronounce it correctly. So I'm going to start with the origin of this Lalita Tripura Sundari, which is starting in the first three. It's called Sri Mata Avataram. The first three verses of Lalita Sahasranamam. Let's see that.
Shri Mata Shri Maharajni Amba Shri Mata Shri Maharajni Amba Shri Mata Shri Maharajni Amba Shri Mad Simhasaneshwari Amba Shri Mata Shri Maharajni Amba Shri Mad Simhasaneshwari Amba Chitakni Kundha Chitakni Kundha Sambhuta Chitakni Kundha Sambhuta Deva Karya Samudyata Amba Shri Mata Chitakni Kunda Sambhuta Deva Karya Samudyata Amba Shri Mata Shri Maharajni Amba Shri Mad Simhasaneshwari Amba.
It's a beautiful starting point for the Lalita Sahasranamam, which starts at the very origin of Lalita Tripura Sundari. Chidagni Gunta Samputa Devakara Samyuta. These are the words, because Lalita Devi emerges from fire. Agni, Agni Kundam. Now, what is the background? What is the connection with Agni Kundam and Lalita? Well, it's a story. It's story time. And I am going to tell you a story. It's a long story, but I'm going to cut it short for want of time. But one should know the story because this is how Lalita Devi takes an incarnation. So it's called Sri Mata Avataram. Once upon a time, there was a king by name Daksha, who was almost an emperor who was ruling the world at the time, and he had many daughters. One of them was called Sati. And Sati was married to Lord Shiva on the advice of Brahma to Daksha, because Daksha never liked Shiva because he thought he was an enemy for him. So, in spite of that feeling, Sati got married to Lord Shiva, and Daksha was preparing a very big yajna or homa. He sent invitations to everybody. The greatest yajna, for which Brahma, Vishnu, Indra, Vasus, Adityas, and many great rishis were all invited, but he did not invite his son-in-law, Lord Shiva, intentionally, of course. Sati was very desirous of attending this yajna, so she asked her husband, why not we go? And Shiva said, no, it's not really right. I haven't got an invitation. If we go, then we may get insulted. She said, oh, nothing will happen. My father, he loves me, so he will be quite receptive. Maybe he forgot to mail the invitation and he didn't reach you, but let's go. She says, no, if you like, you can go. And Sati, despite an objection from Lord Shiva, she went to the yajna. But what happened? She was horrified to see that not only she, but even Shiva was insulted. She was not even welcome, even though she was Daksha's own daughter. Instead, Daksha lashed out some hateful words against Shiva. So there is a beautiful verse in Bhagavatam, it comes in the 4th chapter, where Sati is telling her father, I want to quote this, Yat dvai aksharam nama gireritam, Yat dvai aksharam nama gireritam, Nranam, Sakrit prasangat agam ashu hanti tat, Pavitra kirtim tam alangya sasanam, Bhavanaho dveshti shivam shivetaraha. Just 2 lines. She says, Yad dvai aksharam, that 2 aksharas. What is the 2 aksharas? Shiva. These 2 aksharas, when they are merely pronounced, gireritam pranam, when men just pronounce it by the tongue, agam asuhu hanti tat, all the sins get destroyed instantly. Instantly, hanti tat. That is his praise, Pavitra Kirtim, such a pure fame he has got, whose order is never ignored. Everybody follows him. But you, Bhavan, she says, her father, you, my father, Dveshti Shivam, you are hating him. You hate Shiva. She pleads with him. But so hurt she is, she jumps into the fire. And then when Shiva hears this news, he becomes furious and orders the Shiva Ganas to destroy Daksha's yajna and Daksha also. And that happens. Daksha is destroyed, the Shiva Ganas destroy Daksha yajna, and eventually Shiva goes back to Kailasha, where he sits in his yogic posture and takes the deepest meditation. At that time, Sati is reborn as Parvati and gets married to Shiva again. We had the bhajan on Parvati's name, and Parvati gets married to Shiva. And at that time, there was an Asura who were called Tarakasura. He became conquering Devaloka and causing all kinds of problems to Devas. He was too powerful and invincible. through his tremendous tapasya, he got a boon from Brahma that he cannot be killed by anybody except the son of Lord Shiva, because he thought Shiva, what he is, he will never get a son. Probably at that time he was not born, married Parvati, so he will never get a son. Therefore, he took it as an exception that only this son of Lord Shiva can kill me. That was granted. So the Devas and the Rishis were keen that a son is born to Shiva and Parvati. So they engaged Manmata to induce Shiva to wake up from his meditation. But when Shiva opens his third eye, he burns Manmata, who becomes ashes. Rati, who is Manmata's wife, she goes and pleads with Shiva, please give back my husband. At least take a look at the ashes, he may come back. When Shiva looks at those ashes, another demon, a fierce demon, emerges. He's called Bandasura. Bandasura. And Bandasura, he's got to be killed. How to do that? So the Devas approach Narada again. They say that you perform a yajna, or a homam, and you may find a solution. So the Devas, they perform a yajna in which there is just Chitagni Kunda. When they perform the yajna, out emerges an exquisite form of Devi, fair-colored, four-armed, beautiful, compassionate, holding the 5 arrows of Manmata, a bow and a noose. The emergence of Devi is described here as Chitagnikunta Sambhuta Devakarya Samudyata, for the purpose of serving the Devas for their work, Devakarya Samudyata. That's how she emerges from this Kunda, Agni Kunda. And it was then that Devi asks all her 8 companion energies called Vag Devatas to sing the glories of the Supreme Goddess. By addressing her with 1,000 names, and the Lalita Sahasranam was then born as a song, a continuous song of Vag Devis. So this is where in the Lalita Sahasranamam, first you have the Chitagni Kunda Sambhuta Devakarya Samujjata, and this is where a lot of narrations take place, including the Bandasura Vadam, as it's called. Devi kills Bandasura, and she also ultimately goes to her abode called Srinagara. So this is a story which was eventually narrated by Hayagriva to Agastya Maharishi. So here, this Devi's abode is called Srinagara. Srinagara is the place where you have the Devi seated. This amazing city was really built by Vishwakarma and Maya on one of the peaks of Mount Meru. So you have, it's also called Meru. So a very elaborate description is given about this Meru in the Puranas. So in the midst of this wonderful city is built of precious, what he called Chintamani stones. And in the center of the palace is a seat of Devi. She is seated on a jeweled cart, the legs of which are formed by Brahma, Vishnu, Ishvara and Maheshwara, and governed by Sadashiva. So the great goddess Lalita Devi sits on the lap of Kameshwara. So here there is a very apt song which was composed by a great Kavi called Oothukadu Subbaiah. Oothukadu Kavi. He was a devotee. So he lived in a small village near Kumbakonam, and he has composed hundreds of songs in praise of Lord Krishna. But this is an exceptional song composed by him on Devi. This is also called the song for the first avaranam or the first covering. There is the Nava Avaranam, 9 avaranam, out of which the first avaranam is what is described in this particular song. I'll ask Vidya to sing this particular song.
Santatam aham seve Shri Trailokya Mohane Chakra Nilaye Sarva Siddhi Samuha Sevite Sakala Gamanuta Loka Bhavite Santatam aham seve Shri Trailokya Mohan Chakra Nilaye Sarva Siddhi Samuha Sevite Sakala Gamanuta Loka Bhavite Santatam aham seve. Chintamani Chintamani Sri Pura Madhye Chintamani Sri Pura Madhye Utunka Shobhita Vedike Utunka Shobhita Vedike Chintamani Sri Pura Madhye Utunka Shobhita Vedike Bindu Chakra Nilaye Karunalaye Brahmati Pramuha Sammati Nata Mahaniya Maragata Malike Santa Tam Agam Seve Brahmi Maheshwarya Dhyashta Devi Samuha Kilita Pratama Pragare Vedasare Samshobhini Vidravinyati Dashamudra Ganasonote Ramya Tripurati Chakreshwari Rajarajeshwari Shivakameshwari Ramya Tripurati Chakreshwari Rajarajeshwari Shivakameshwari Lambamana Sadayashtika Ratnamalini Prakatayogini Lambamana Sadayashtika Ratnamalini Prakatayogini Santato Agam Shri Trailokya Mohana Chakra Nilaye Sarva Siddhi Samuha Sevite Sakala Gamanuta Loka Bhavite Santatam aham seve.
Very good. It's a beautiful composition of Oothukadu Subbaiah. I'd like to slightly illustrate the meaning of these contained in relation to the Sri Mata Avataram, which I explained. Santatam Aham means always I. Seve, I serve her. Mohana Chakram. She's the Mohana Chakram of the three worlds, Triloke. Sarva Siddhi Samuha Sevite. All Siddha groups are all serving her. Sakalagamanute Loka Bhavite. One who is worshipped by all the Agamas. You know, there are Shastras concerning rituals, Agamas. Loka Bhavite by ordinary people of the world. They are all worshipped. Chintamani Sri Pura Madhye. I mentioned Sri Puram is Sri Nagara. Here it is a Devi's abode. And she's on the dot, Sri Pura Madhye, Uttunga Sobhita Vediki. There is a platform of Chintamani, started with diamonds and stones, Chintamani stones, in the middle of Sri Pura. And she's on the dot, Sri Chakra, on the shining platform. Brahmadi Pramukha Sammanita Mahaniya Marakata Malige. Greatly respected by Brahma and others who wear a great garlands of emeralds, you know. Mahaniya Marakata Malige. She's wearing a garland. Marakata means emerald. Great garland of emeralds. And then they say Vedasare. So she is the essence of Vedas. She is the essence, essence of Vedas. Who plays with the group Ashtadevi Samuha. I mentioned about Vagdevta, 8 of them. So she plays with the group of those 8 goddesses. Worshipped again with the Agamas of Dasamudra. And she is also headed by violent deities like Samkrotvini, also retreating deities like Vidravini. Such a beautiful one, Ramya Tripuradi Chakreshwari. Oh, beautiful one who is the head of the Tripura Chakra. Is a Sri Chakram. Rajarajeshwari, Shivakameshwari, and one Lambamana Satayashtika means long chain. She's wearing a long chain studded with 8 gems. Satayashtika. Ratnamalini. Ratnam means gem. Ratnamalini Prakata Yogini. She's also Yogini, expert in yoga. Such a beautiful description of Devi Lalita given in this couple of lines composition by one of the greatest Kavis, Muthukad Subir. So let us see, this is the origin of Mata, and she takes avataram. What are the specialities here in Lalita Sahasranamam? It's served many triad. Triad means 3 things. You have mantra, yantra, and tantra. So there are 3 of them. It contains all 3. She is supposed to be the person representing all the 3. In fact, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, well, I am the mantra, and she will address Sharada Devi as you are the yantra. The mantra is one which protects you by recitation. Manana Trayati iti mantraha. So it's called mantra. Manana Trayati iti mantraha. One which protects you by constant recitation. Yantra is a device. It is a mystical diagram like you find in many shops and many business houses. They have these crossed triangles and circles and all that. It's a device, it's a yantra, the means to get something. And tantra is really referring to a technique or a practice. Lalita Sahasranamam has all the 3. It has got many such 3s, symbolic of many 3s. Tripura itself means 3 cities. Three Shaktis, he represents Icha, Jnana, Kriya Shakti. Icha is what you desire. Jnana means your intelligence. Kriya, the work what you do. She represents all these three Shaktis. They also represent the three functions of Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya. Srishti is creation, Sthiti is maintenance, and Laya is destruction again. Three gunas, Sat, Rajas, and Tamas. Three kinds of qualities and gunas. Also three different states, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuddhi as they call it. So there are many, many such threes which are represented in this great Lalita Sahasranamam. As you go further, you will know how deep is the philosophy and how deep is the devotion displayed by many people towards Lalita Sahasranamam. So you need to really understand this in clear terms. So at this point of time, I'm not going further into the details. I'm going to be concluding this shortly with only one little request to all of you. Please stay tuned for the next session, which is going to be on next Saturday. Because the greatness of Devi has been demonstrated by many, many devotees. We call them as Devi Upasakas. It is not just a bookish textbook kind of literature, but it has been demonstrated by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who was a great Devi Upasaka. It has been demonstrated by Sri Bhaskar Raya, who wrote the Bhashyam for the first time on Lalita Sahasranamam. Here you see a picture of him carrying Devi on his shoulders. You know, Bhaskar Raya lived in the 17th, 18th century. And he has written many, many scholarly books. And Saubhagya Bhaskaram is one of the greatest one. In fact, I have a video called Bhaskar Raya Parichayaha. It is open to anybody. It's on YouTube. You put Bhaskar Raya Parichayaha, you will know the greatness of Bhaskar Raya, the kind of work he has done. And he lived in a very small village. He was from Maharashtra, invited by the Sarfoji Maharaja, Maratha king in Tanjavur on those times, and given a village. And he chose a village on the banks of Kaveri so that he can take a dip in the river where his guru lived across on the other side of the shore. Gangadhara Vajpayee was his guru. And so he said, I would like to stay near my guru, and he chose that. The place is still there, and there is a beautiful temple there where you have a Meru, what I mentioned, where the Sri Chakra is worshipped every day, every day. Ramakrishna Paramhansa came in the 19th century, and everybody knows the Chicago Kali Bari is particularly, should be knowing this because Ramakrishna Paramhansa was a Kali devotee. So I mentioned two forms of deity which are worshipped today in modern times. One is Kali in the eastern part of the country, and second is Lalita Devi, which is worshipped all over, particularly in South India. So I have displayed both these pictures here of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and also Sri Bhaskar Raya. Two great Devi Upasakas who really demonstrated the love and compassion shown by Devi to them personally and also to the world. Not very far off. So today we have many, many countless number of yogis and mahans in India, and we ought to follow them. So don't miss, my request is don't miss this next. We are going to continue on the next Saturday, and you can stay tuned 5 o'clock next Saturday. So this series will continue. So with that, I'd like to bring this to a close, and I'd like to thank the Chicago Kali Bari Temple to give us this opportunity for this series. and also to Sri Sampath Iyengar for coordinating this program. Thank you very much. And if you need to reach me out on any email or contact me, if you have any questions, you have suggestions, comments, most welcome. Here in this slide, I've given my email address and also my website, which is easyhinduism.com. And you can reach me on email, gurujisubi@gmail.com. So Jai Mata Di, thank you very much. Thank you indeed. Jai Mata Di. Thank you. Thank you.
Chinu joined us. Chinu, are you going to talk something? You are on mute, Okay, what, I don't know.
Hello, tomorrow. I am going to talk tomorrow. That's what the time given to me.
Oh, I see. Okay, no problem. No, thanks a lot,
Yeah.
listeners. And I profusely thank, both Vidya and Subramaniam for his such a fantastic the talk about Devi and Devi Mahatmyam, and as well as Lalita Sahasranamam. Lalita Sahasranamam is a household name, almost everyone knows it, And one thing he brought out, how the composition is consisting of and the choice of words, the alliterations, and the manner in which it is constructed, And these things are all not constructed by some ordinary people, They're all kind of a Devi Upasakas, They've got tremendous medicinal effect. Nowadays, how the vaccine for the pandemic being invented by these people, that one, how much work Pfizer and other companies have put forth in it, and how they watch the reaction on the human cells and what kind of an effect it has when you take it. That's what the effect it has, all this, Lalita Sahasranama Sostrams or Vishnu Sahasranama Sostram. The compositions of the words have been chosen in is almost like a God-given thing, This is all maybe coming into the dreams through Saraswati or what it is, and that's how they choose the word, And the rishis have experimented it. See, just like in modern science, you can experiment what is the effect of a medicine, of a chemotherapy or anything on each cell. The rishis know exactly how it tunes yourself. When you utter the Sanskrit words in a proper pronunciation and a proper way, it passes through your tongue, touches your brain, and it goes and triggers and the vibrations throughout your body. Every cell of your body is tuned, I have personal experience of that because I have been chanting Vishnu Sahasranamam almost for 50, 60 years, that one. And you know what it is. Sometimes you get into trance, that's what it happens. But the effect of the cell, I wish one day the modern science can see when the vibrations takes place, through the chanting of these slokas, how every one of the cells are dancing and tuning. I know one day the science will figure it out, Then they will thank the Eastern world for that. They have done it for yoga. Vivekananda brought in here. At the time, they didn't even know what yoga, what is. Now, every nook and corner of the city, like America also, you got a yoga studio. Every corner. You go to any state, that's what it is. This is a culture of India. And yoga was invented by Patanjali some years back, what it is. And only now we have realized what the value is. Like that, you will know the value of Lalita Sahasranamam. Let us continue to listen. Tomorrow, there is a lecture at 5 o'clock by, again, Subramaniam and Vidya. And it will be joined by Chinu also, an old friend of mine from the 1960s. I discovered him after about 45 years, through Subramaniam. Again, thanks a lot, listeners. We'll come back again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.